I was 22 when I started talking to a guy I'd met on a dating app. His name was Hunter. We went out 4 times over a little more than a month. At first, things seemed fine. Our first date was super casual. Just coffee, no pressure. The second one was at a bar. We had a few drinks, laughed a lot. It felt normal. On the third date, we had dinner, and that's when I noticed something off. I couldn't pinpoint it, but something in his vibe unsettled me. Still, we ended the night with a kiss, our first, and it turned out our last. I told myself it was probably just nerves. By the 4th date, I wasn't as excited. We met up again for drinks, but this time I was more guarded. I started picking up on strange mannerisms, twitches, odd body language. He drank more than usual and started acting way too touchy, even after I politely pulled away. I've never been into public displays of affection, especially not in a crowded bar. I told him I was tired and wanted to head home. I made it very clear that the night was over. He paid the tab, we put our coats on, and stepped outside. As we walked toward our cars, he stopped and asked if I wanted to come back to his place. I told him no, that I was tired and had work early the next morning. Total lie. That's when he got pushy. He said I didn't have to worry. I texted him, "Are you following me?" He replied almost instantly, "Yeah, just making sure you got home safe." I called him. He didn't pick up. I pulled over and sent another message. "Stop following me. I'm fine." His car stopped. Then it turned around and drove off. Later that night, while I was lying in bed, a message popped up from him. "Sorry I got so drunk. Maybe next time we can do something chill, like dinner at my place." I didn't respond. The next morning, he texted again. "Wow, so it's really over." I still didn't reply. A couple hours later, another text, just a single question mark. Finally, I wrote back, "It was nice getting to know you, but I don't think we're compatible. I want to focus on myself right now. I hope you understand." And then came the switch. He texted back, furious. "No, I don't understand. You led me on for 4 dates, and now this? Pay me back for half of everything I spent on you." He even sent messages with personal details about me, stuff I'd never shared. I won't go into those, but it was enough for me to block him immediately. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. I started getting calls from unknown numbers over and over. I didn't answer. Eventually, it stopped, or so I thought. One evening, I came home from work and found flowers on my front porch with a card. The card read, "I'm sorry. Please give me another chance. Hunter." Knowing he had my address completely rattled me. Maybe in his mind it was romantic, but to me, it was terrifying. I sent one final message through another number, since I blocked him everywhere. "Please never contact me again. Never come to my home. If you do, I'll file for a restraining order." I never saw his reply. I kept him blocked. I figured that was the end of it. But it wasn't. A few nights later, I was home alone. My parents were out of town. I sleep in the attic bedroom, the highest part of our house. Something woke me up in the middle of the night. At first, I didn't know what, but I felt off. Then I heard it, the sound of a door opening downstairs. Someone was inside the house. I scrambled out of bed and called 911, then ducked under the bed and texted my family. "Is anyone home?" No replies. I listened as drawers near my bed opened. Someone was rifling through my things. I covered my mouth to keep from breathing too loudly. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it might give me away. Then I heard a voice. "Shit," he muttered under his breath. and it hit me. I recognized the voice. It was Hunter. The bed creaked. He sat down on it. I could see his boots through the dust ruffle. He was right there, inches above me. He sat there silently for 2 or 3 minutes. Then he whispered something obscene and stood up. I heard him close the drawers and walk down the stairs. When I was sure he was gone, I called 911 again. Within minutes, a patrol car showed up. Then a second officer arrived. They searched the entire house. All the windows were unlocked. One window in the dining room was wide enough for someone to crawl through. I told them everything. I showed them the old texts, proof he'd admitted to following me. The cops told me to never contact him again, under any circumstances. I filed for a restraining order. He never came back, but the fear never left me. For the rest of the time I lived with my parents, I had this constant sense of being watched. And even now, I sometimes wonder if he knows where I live. I was in 6th grade when it happened. It was the week before Halloween, and a bunch of us stayed after school to help set up a haunted house for our school's carnival. The reward? Free pizza and a chance to hang out with friends without adult supervision hovering over us. That was enough to make it feel like the best thing ever. One of the kids who stayed behind to help was a boy I'll call Chris. At first he seemed totally normal, funny, friendly, maybe a little awkward, but harmless. Every time we stayed late to work on decorations, he'd be there, cracking jokes and being helpful. But a couple of weeks later, everything started to change. One morning, a group of girls from my class came up to me, grinning and whispering to each other. They told me I had a secret admirer. They wouldn't say who, but they promised I'd get a message from him that night. I was a little curious and, honestly, kind of excited. That evening, as I was getting ready for bed, I got a message on Messenger. Back then, I only had the app, so my parents could reach me when I was home alone. The message was from Chris. I'd completely forgotten we had exchanged contacts around Halloween. He wrote, "Hey Maya, I really need to talk to you." I was surprised, but replied quickly, "Sure, what's up? Is everything okay?" I really wish I hadn't responded. He started typing and kept typing. The little bubble stayed there for 2 straight minutes. Then the message came in, a long paragraph confessing how he'd been in love with me since the haunted house. He wrote that he'd tried to impress me during recess by showing off his soccer tricks, but I'd never noticed him. He said it was tearing him apart. And then the last line hit me hard. "I need you to finally see me. Will you be my girlfriend?" I didn't know what to say. We barely knew each other. I had no idea he even liked me. I didn't want to be mean, so I tried to be gentle. I told him I didn't see him that way, but that I was happy to stay friends. That's when his tone shifted. He started asking, "Why not?" And every time I tried to explain, he pushed back with more questions. Eventually, he just stopped replying. But the next day at school, everything got worse. His friends started teasing me loudly, saying that Chris wanted to kiss me, that he was going to do it even if he had to pin me against a wall. They said he told the whole class. I was scared. I went to one of my teachers. She told me to stay in the classroom during recess and lunch, that if I saw him coming, I should run back inside. But I didn't feel safe, so I went to the principal. He said he'd take care of it. For a moment, I felt a little safer, but that was only the beginning. Everyone at school knew I lived right across the street. So did Chris. One afternoon, not even 2 minutes after I got home, I heard a knock at the door. I looked out the window and saw someone ducking behind a car in the driveway. It was a small figure. I was pretty sure it was Chris. My mom opened the door. No one was there. But there was a note left on the porch. It read, "Look under the Cadillac in your driveway. There's a surprise." That car belonged to my older brother. My mom went outside to check, but found nothing. And yet, that same week, the Cadillac completely broke down. It had never had issues before. We never found out what Chris did, but the car ended up getting sold. Things spiraled from there. Chris's friends kept hounding me. "Give him a chance. He's a good guy," they said. One day, I caught him taking pictures of me as I walked home from school. I heard the quiet click from his phone camera. Who knows how many photos he had? Every morning, I'd wake up to a new message from him. "Can't wait to see you today. You're gonna look amazing. I just know it." I started to get genuinely afraid. Then, I was called into the school counselor's office. I thought maybe they were finally going to help. Instead, she said, "Boys do crazy things when they're in love." Then she added, "You should feel flattered. These things happen. You'll learn to live with it." I was in 6th grade, and I believed her. When I told my mom what the counselor said, she was furious. That same week, she marched into the principal's office and demanded to be present at any future meetings involving me. I'll never forget her telling the counselor, "Don't you ever speak to my daughter, Al." But still, nothing happened to Chris. And then one night, something terrifying happened. My parents were out, and I was home alone. I was getting ready for bed when I heard something at my window. I live on the 2nd floor. There shouldn't have been anything at my window. But the sound came again, like something lightly tapping on the glass. And then again. I gathered all the courage I had, pulled back the curtain, and saw Chris. He was standing there, holding tiny rocks in his hand, looking straight into my window. When he saw me, he stopped. I couldn't hear what he was mumbling, but I saw his lips moving. I immediately went around the house, locking every door and window. When I got back to my room, my phone had 4 messages waiting. "Why'd you leave?" "I just wanted to talk." "I'm sorry, I just wanted a kiss." "You're not the person I thought you were. Goodbye." I blocked him. Thankfully, nothing else happened after that, but I still had to see him every day, all the way through graduation. The last I ever heard about him, he got arrested. I don't even know what for. I don't want to know. But the worst part, that school counselor told me I should feel flattered, like his obsession was some kind of compliment. I hope she's not still working with kids, and I hope I never see Chris again. I want to keep this as anonymous as possible. What happened to me was real, and it left a mark I'll carry forever. I've changed names and locations, not because I'm afraid of her, but because I never want anyone connecting this story to my real life. I've always been a bit of an outsider. Growing up, teachers told my parents I had antisocial tendencies. I never understood what that meant. I wasn't violent, I wasn't disruptive. I just had a hard time connecting with people. High school didn't help. Everyone found their little groups and cliques, and I was always on the edge. I didn't have learning issues, but social situations were hard. Still, I made a few close friends, and that was enough. Girls, though, that was a different story. To be blunt, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 21. By the time this story happened, I was 23. I lived alone in a decent 2-story townhouse. I had a stable job, and things were finally starting to feel normal. That's when I met her. Let's call her Emily. We matched on a dating app, and our first date was dinner. The whole time, I felt like she was analyzing me. I was in my own head, worrying about how I came across. But later that night, she messaged me, saying she had a great time and wanted to see me again. I was thrilled. One date turned into 2, then 3, then 4. Before I knew it, we were officially together. But it didn't take long for things to turn weird. At first, it was just the frequency of her texts. If I didn't respond quickly, she'd send follow-ups, question marks, calls, more texts. Then, she asked if we could share our phone locations. I didn't think much of it at the time. I had nothing to hide, so I agreed. That was my first mistake. She started tracking me, constantly, asking why I was at my friend Phil's house, who else was there, what we were doing. One night, I was hanging out in Phil's basement with another friend when Emily suddenly walked in. She hadn't texted or called. She just showed up. Phil's mom had let her in, thinking she was dropping something off. But Emily stormed downstairs, yelling about how I was ignoring her messages and skipping out on a winery trip she'd planned. I asked her to calm down and said we could talk later. She demanded I leave with her right then. I apologized to my friends, stepped outside with her, and we had a heated argument in the driveway. She wanted to come over. I said no. That night, I messaged her and told her I needed some space. I didn't have the courage to say it face to face. Truthfully, I was scared of how she might react. Her response? Dozens of missed calls, non-stop texts. She even rang my doorbell over and over. It got so loud that my neighbor came outside, asking what was going on. I heard her yelling at him, calling me names. He just told her to leave. The next day, I stopped sharing my location. That's when she flipped out again. Why'd you turn it off? What are you hiding? Finally, I sent her a message. Emily, I need to block you for a while. You're scaring me. She stopped showing up for a bit. Exactly 1 week later, I was at Phil's again. Got home around 11 p.m. I was hungry, so I threw something in the microwave and started scrolling through horror movies. When the microwave beeped, I heard something in the dining room. My house has a weird layout, circular access between the kitchen, dining area, living room, and a small office. Between the dining room and office, there's a door. I heard it open. I muted the TV. Hello? I called out. No answer. I walked into the dining room. The door to the office was wide open. I never leave it open. Something felt wrong. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen and called 911 loudly, on purpose. I wanted anyone in the house to hear me say, yeah, I think my crazy ex broke into my house. The dispatcher told me to wait outside, so I went out to the porch, heart pounding, still on the phone. The cops arrived fast. We searched the entire house. Attic, closets, crawl spaces. Nothing. One officer said he believed me, said I didn't seem like the kind of guy who'd make this up. I was shaken. I couldn't even finish my food. I locked my bedroom door and took some melatonin to help me sleep. But I didn't sleep long. A few hours later, I was woken up by my phone buzzing. Text messages from an unknown number. It was Emily. I'm sorry. Can we talk? Are you awake? Stop ignoring me. I just want to see you. And then 8 straight messages. Wake up. I was about to respond when I heard something, a scream from inside my closet. No, the closet doors burst open. It was Emily. She had been hiding in my room. I didn't have time to think. I jumped out of bed, ran to the door, and slammed it behind me, just as she lunged at me. Something hit the door with a thud. Then I saw it. A knife blade had pierced through the wood. She was trying to stab me. I yelled, "Please stop. I love you. I just need time." I lied. I just needed to survive. She paused. I kept going. I've been confused, but I still care about you. Let's talk. Just drop the knife. A few seconds passed. Then I heard it. The knife clattered against the wall. I opened the door and tackled her. She screamed and kicked, but I held her down while shouting my address into the phone. She's here. She broke in. She had a knife. The police came crashing through the front door minutes later. They arrested her on the spot. I was numb, shaking. I couldn't even cry, just frozen. But it wasn't over. The legal mess that followed, restraining orders, statements, hearings dragged on for months. Eventually, she was convicted and sentenced. I didn't feel relief. I felt grief. Because I had once cared about her, but she tried to kill me. And I didn't see the warning signs, because I was too desperate to be wanted by someone. This story will haunt me forever. But maybe, just maybe, it'll stop someone else from ending up where I did.